Good morning, everybody. So let's rehash what I did in my last video. So we discussed the campaign setting, and we had just started. We had started with one village and expanded it into an elven and a dwarven territory nearby, along with a majocracy, which is a civilization ruled by wizards and other spellcasters. We have also included a town that is awfully close to a swamp full of monstrous humanoids and a green and black dragon that lived there. I also explained some of the threats that, I had thrown into the core area up here in the mountains, as well as, ideas for what this area would become. I discussed what was basically known as the Sword Council, which is the three towns where it is mostly fighters and psionics. You don't have very many wizards or spellcasters. More martial classes, thieves, those kinds of things. You still, instead of clerics and paladins, you get the psionic versions of those. So we also reviewed, I believe, how some of these thorps and different areas are going to basically work. I believe I discussed that with y'all. I also showed you a list of dangers for the Thunderdrum Mountains. One of the other things that I have worked on is what's in the swamp. So, these are just common things, like I was saying in the other video, that you want to keep in mind for when you build a campaign setting. One of the other things that I'm going to go back and review is some of y'all didn't get a very good clear size viewing of a lot of this stuff. So generating towns, I won't make you sit back through me discussing all the different towns and how they're set up. But this is the table that was used, so you can view it a little bit more closely. This is all stuff that I have printed off for myself at my table, so I can be able to use. You can be able to find this stuff too, whether you buy an actual DMG or you go online and you buy an electronic copy. I don't, have any way to be able to refer you to be able to find these books, but this stuff does make it a lot easier. As you're seeing here, these charts even go down to, the alignment of the town. Is it going to be a good town? Is it going to be a bad town? This is stuff that was also used for when I made all those different thorps and stuff. Then you have who's your constable, things like that. Guard soldiers, it lists for every 100 people in the community. There will be available 20 people who are conscripted soldiers, things like that. Stuff that really, if you really, really want to push the boundaries of, what you do in a campaign setting. Do you throw a large monster at a party and then have them backed up by those kind of characters? So ideas like that. So then again, we're going to take a look here at this infamous chart that I have pieced together. Community size. Of course, I talked about taking out first level characters because those first level characters probably would not want to be sitting around a town. They would want to go out and find adventure, unless they're conscripted into jobs. But, in my setting, because it's very small, they have conscripted themselves out as adventurers, and they are on the road in other places that your characters will probably run into them in the future. So, picking out your character classes. So, because I am a fan of 3.0, 3.5, I use the full list. A lot of the stuff I went over last time, you can see it a little bit more closely here. I'm sorry if my handwriting is somewhere between Smurf and, serial killer. I apologize. I write very fast. One of the other things that, it talks about a town is, the money in the town and, not bankrupting towns. So, can't have a thorp full of magic items and stuff. This was another thing that I picked up here. This was out of the Races of Destiny. What exactly are those businesses that are inside a quote unquote, fine section of town and whatnot? You know, I included some of the other crazy stuff they threw in there for, you know, community attributes. If you want to roll with that, that would be each one of your communities, what's going on, what are they like. I don't know, sometimes I take stuff out of books because I'm going to take a look at it in the future. So this is kind of the meat and potatoes of building an adventure. As you're seeing here, these charts, and this is from the Dragon Compendium. Oh, let me see here. I have an electronic copy of it, of course, because I'm a fan. And, you know, drive-through RPG is a wonderful thing. That's who I would recommend to get your stuff through. If you know a non-pay source, please don't post it through the links or anything. I don't want to be chased through the multiverse by Wizards of the Coast and, you know, their publisher that actually Hasbro and their Wizards, because I don't want to be running from them forever. So, you know, if anybody asks, just direct message somebody that information so we don't all get in trouble. Oh my goodness, I am having one of those types of mornings. Let's just roll over to the computer here. Let me see. I think we put it under non-core books. Ah, here we go. Bum, bum, bum. This was for 3.5. I was very tempted to buy the physical copy. There was never a volume 2, which I am very disappointed in, but you know, I love you, Wizards of the Coast, and I'm not gonna play the hate game. But anyways, let's roll back over to that chart. So this is page 243. So, when you start off, let's just whip out a dungeon here. So this is a dungeon that was built using this system. Excuse me here. I've had to go from double-sided tape to slapping Scotch tape over it, so it is a little rusty. Let's see if we can remember where that damn entrance is. Oh, here we go. Cave entrance. So, as you can see, it's going to lead you off to passages, rooms. You fill in your notes. If you're asking, how did you come to this? Which is using this chart. You know, it gives you full listings of everything. Stairs, side passages. You know, how wide is that passage? Caverns and caves, magic pools, turns that you may find with your passages. Chambers and rooms is where you start off, though. That's the first thing that you're going to roll to set up your entrance. You know, it will even go into shapes of the rooms. So, you know, that's a modified version of the last page when I was tinkering around with things. So then, one of the other things that plays into this set of tables from the Dragon Compendium, pages 243 through 245. By the way, the coolest thing is look at that name. Gary Gygax. So those of you that don't know what this is, this was the first ever like system for D&D that was ever introduced. Strategic Review was a magazine that was for wargaming. You can go and find a lot of interesting stuff about that online. I'm not going to carry into it because that's just breaking into the history. But yes, and then those names. This was one of the early partners, I believe. We all know that name. I'm afraid that I don't know anything about George A. Lord. I have to go online and look. That's why this is such a complex subject matter. But I just wanted to point out who the creator of that was. I actually, you know what? I think Robert Kuntz was one of the early players. But I'm like I said, that's a lot of history. So, one of the other things that this plays into is using door systems. Okay, so, you know, even this chart for 3.5 will refer you to, you know, Dungeon Master's Guide and everything. And it being a solo game, is a dungeon level equal to player's level -2. So that's a lot of low level grinding, but that's okay. So one of the things that it refers to about doors, I'm looking for that doors table. Let me see. You know what? Actually, I don't think that it gave you a thing for doors. I think that I just took give me a second here. H2. So I mean, you know, they just give you a door. But, you know, because this may be for 1 player, 2 players, multiple players, the random door type chart from DMG 3.5, page 78, gives you a wide, vast range of doors. And what these numbers are in parentheses is this is the DC to unstick or unlock the doors. So, one of the things that I really enjoyed, and I've had a couple of dungeons that have come up on the table, doors that slide to the side, down, up, or magically reinforced. In fact, I have even got lucky enough to roll like double inside this range and have to go back and be like, okay, well, I need to roll another type of, you know. So I've had ones that are magically reinforced that go up. It gives you a lot of options, okay? One of the things that this chart system refers to, room contents, chamber room contents, random room contents is on that same page. So I mean, yeah, it really lets you fill out a dungeon. And the other thing is you know, you see this as well, is the features and furnishings chart, which, you know, because I have everything in the binder this time when I made the video, I apologize about last time I did it. You know, you can see here that it's just giving you loads and loads of stuff to work with as far as what are you wanting to put in the dungeon. I mean, even if you want to go as far as just picking out things like this, I mean, it's awesome. This came out of, oh god, where did this come out of? This came out of the Draconomicon, which was a 3.5 book all about dragons. You know, what's inside of a hoard? Which would be, you know, like a dragon's treasure. I was like, well, you know, you could probably use that for about a dozen other monsters and everything else. So I went with that. The Draconomicon refers to magic traps. This lets you pick a spell for magic traps by rolling. This is page 117 of the DMG 3.5. Oh, I think this this also came out of the Draconomicon. You know, if you wanted to throw trade goods into a, you know, dungeon, you know, maybe you have a group of humanoid monsters that have attacked a merchant's caravan in the past, and you're trying to figure out what is exactly in there. You know, you could take a look at the Draconomicon, or you could just, you know, sit there and pause and look through this list. But so, I mean, this is a continuation of it as well. You know, there's a lot of things that you as a DM can be able to throw into a dungeon, you know, a treasury room or something like that, that just really makes your players, you know, go, oh, well, how did this get in here? Or, you know, any other number of things. I think, oh, no, it wasn't on here. Yeah, but okay, so there was something else that I was thinking of. I mean, you could go as far as even a monster maybe having a zoo, you know, the players accidentally walk into it and not realize it. But I mean, like I said, I've taken a lot of material from different books and stuff that, you know, I can be able to use for my campaign setting. can't even remember where these came from. I think these came from one of the AD&D books, just giving rough ideas of maps. So, I mean, kind of gives you an idea, you know, it's just as far as charts and tables, you know, what it's going to look like for you, the DM. You know, what can you use to flesh out these ideas? And, you know, the best thing about charts and tables is that you don't necessarily have to go by what you rolled. Maybe there's something on that list that catches your eye that you think would be a wonderful addition to the dungeon, but you didn't roll it. Don't be afraid of fudging dice, okay? You do it to keep players alive sometimes. That's all, you know, it's about storytelling. One of the things of storytelling is I reminded myself that I don't remember if I showed you all this. This was from AD&D. Let me see here. I actually have the physical book. As I said, I'm a complete nut for buying a lot of the older books. It was from the... what was it? Was it the Dungeon Masters? No, that wasn't it. Like I said, we have a lot of books sometimes. One of the things that I am going to show you before we close out today is I will show you... Oh, I'm sorry. This is from the Dungeon Masters design kit of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Just so nobody tries to come after me. This was printed by TSR. I don't know if they ever rated this for being able to be viewed over the internet like this, but it was printed in 1988. And what I have done is I have taken a lot of their tables and stuff here so that I can be able to design maybe an adventure on the fly. You know, I have several binders that I use as my Dungeon Master's Guide or, you know, idea book. So, I mean, this just gives you an idea, you know. You want to put a goal for your story, you know, clear your name, make some money. You know, this just gives you ideas. That's all these charts and tables are really here for. You know, your story hook and MacGuffins. You know, is it a dying delivery, a grim necessity, is a hero offended, legend or rumor? And the list goes on. You know, allies and neutrals that you may want to slip into that might make some kind of red herring, or, you know, maybe they're just in the background. Maybe they're an interesting character that they come across. You know, monster encounters. You know, some of this stuff is completely optional is what it was. That's right. Minor villains, major villains, your monster encounters. You know, it gives you just ideas. Idea after idea after idea. You know, character encounters. You know, do you run in bandits, a press gang, a seducer, a truthful accuser? You know, an old friend at a wrong time. You know, I mean... And then traps and death throws. This is another option. You want to make it a little harder. You know, it gives you an idea of something randomly in the adventure that may happen. Or that your villain or minor villain may have set up, you know. Is the character's coming through a canyon and all of a sudden the minor villain sends a stampede of... You know, let's just say, in this case, they send a stampede of... I can't really think of anything. You know, maybe a stampede of, like, some kind of large animal. You know, I'm trying to think of something crazy but not crazy. So a herd of giraffes. Say they want to send a herd of giraffes. You know, because character's going to be like, oh, it's a giraffe. They can't do anything to us, but yet they're getting clobbered by a giraffe. You know, things like that. Special conditions of the adventure, finishing the adventure, it's coping with a curse, magic doesn't work right, you can't hurt the villain, maybe the villain is the king, you know, things like that. You know, and then the other thing I was talking about, red herrings. You know, this is all stuff that you can throw at characters, and the reason why I'm posting it on my channel is, you know, there's a lot of people out there, they don't want to be the DM, or they don't have an idea of how to be the DM. You know, there are, there's so much stuff out there for you to just draw inspiration from, you know. So you want to do a chase scene. Look at this. I mean, you know, there's you don't realize that you're writing a book. You're writing an open-ended story for characters to decide how they want to interact. And that's one of the things that I've learned, and I've scaled back with my campaign setting, because Offmaria is very nice, but it's very hard to run because, you know, characters can, I feel like at some point characters are being railroaded by more powerful characters where it's constantly, you know, I think I need to work on that campaign setting. So the one that I have basically brushed up for the house is something a little bit more easier. You know, I already have Lily and Tara playing it. I mean, Tara's playing a cat, you know, a Tibbet, which is like this shape-shifting creature that can turn into a cat and then a small humanoid. I think that Lily's playing a half... Yeah, Lily's playing a half-elf. You know, she's playing a half-elf cleric. Oh, I forgot what Tara's Tibbet is. But, yeah, so I mean, I already have stuff going on. You know, they are going to go down the map has also changed. That's one of the things that, you know, I'll show you guys, that maybe you have things that, you know, happen on the fly that a map changes. So probably by the next time you guys see this board, it will change, you know. So it kind of gives you an idea of just how I'm working through the campaign, so that it gives you an idea of thought process, so that maybe you, as the dungeon master, can get ideas. By the way, I wanted to pull up Savage Species, which I had promised somebody that I was going to do. And I'll touch on Savage Species here for a little bit. I think I have it under... What did I have it under? I think I had it under non-core books. Here we go. So, Savage Species was a wonderful book. This is something that opened my eyes. Playing monstrous characters. And they really gave some thought into it. And one of the things that have recently come back up with this is, you know, challenge rating, what monsters you can and cannot play. You know, 3.0 and 3.5 really fleshed this out, but a lot of people broke the systems with numbers, and, you know, it's just... There were things that should have been fleshed out in the background, because I don't believe that, you know, there's ever the chance that, you know, some people got a little too crazy with it. We'll just say that. But this one even had rules for, you know, advancing a monster as character, standard class, prestige class. You know, I left out advancing by type. You know, that's one of the things, is I always took, you know, if a monster becomes a player, then it's going to get levels. You know, the whole entire thing of challenge ratings. Let's see here. Estimating level adjustments. So, I mean, it really gave you a lot of thoughts into it. What you can and can't really... What's a little too crazy? What's, you know, what's maybe not crazy enough? You know, like, look here, like a bugbear. You want to play a bugbear? That is the equivalency of a second level character. Centaur is the equivalency... Oh man, no. So, excuse me. Starting ECL, estimated character level. So that's right, a bugbear would be 4th level, a centaur would be 6th. And it even breaks down like drow are supposed to be like at a 3. So I mean, there's, you know, this really gave a lot of options for some of these races. You know, they became just like normal character races in Offmaria, and I think that's one of the crazier things that I did with that campaign, because I was like, what if you had something that took a lot of the elements from 3.0 and 3.5. You know, I think it was Savage Species. I think I basically took monsters, races, and feats from like every single book that I had come across, and that's how I slowly started developing off Mario. Um, and then the whole continent around it and everything. So I mean, even still, like it's still a work in progress. But I feel like at this point in time, it's becoming so tremendous that it's going to be like Forgotten Realms is today. No offense to Forgotten Realms, but that's just how it's kind of become.